So again, welcome to everyone who is joining us this evening. I can't believe this is already part 5 of our human performance coaching series. And for those of you who are just joining the webinar for the first time, you can watch recordings of part 1 through 4 of the webinar series on pascoe.ca. Now, a brief history about Pascoe Canada is that we are the Canadian subsidiary of Pascoe, headquartered in Gießen, Germany. Pascoe is a third-generation family-run manufacturer of natural healthcare products with over 120 years of history. Our products are made in Germany and are carefully harvested by hand from locally sourced natural ingredients. Pascoe's portfolio in Canada includes over 70 products that are herbal, homeopathic, and dietary supplements. Now, without further delay, I'd like to welcome back Coach Gaétan Boutin, a human high performance coach and movement specialist, to lead our conversation and answer all your questions this evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Coach Gaétan.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for the introduction. As always, I'm super excited to be here. Wow. So yeah, like you were saying, this is part 5. As excited, I'm a little disappointed because so far this is the last part that we have scheduled, but I'm hoping that we're going to get some more things going. It's going to be a great 2021. And we, as always, are here and are committed to your health, your growth, and your wellness. So we're looking forward to bringing you more exciting things this year. And again, as Alex mentioned, you can go back to pascoe.ca in the webinar section and you can watch basically episodes or parts 1 through 4. It's been some great content. We've talked about mindset, we've talked about movement, we've talked about nutrition, we've talked about recovery, kind of all of the pieces that determine your wellness. This is called the Human Performance Coaching Series, but it could just be called the Human Wellness Series as well, because everything we talked about is wellness based. And if you want to basically be at your best health, then all these things we talk about fall in line. I just want to give a big shout out to Pascoe for putting this all together, for organizing this, for giving us the opportunity to do these webinars and speak and have these Q&As. So we really appreciate Pascoe. So thank you guys. And thank you, Alex, for doing such a great job putting this together. So today we're going to talk about detox and weight loss. I thought this was a great thing to put together, and I thought it was a great thing from a timing standpoint because, going into the new year, everyone started talking about ramping up their health and getting healthy and doing all those good things. So I thought for sure this would be a great chance for us to talk about that and to move forward. I like to bring these two conversations together because a lot of people think that detox is weight loss specifically, and it's not necessarily that. So I want to kind of clear up some of those confusions and those misconceptions around there. Before we get started, I like to think most people have been on all 5 parts of these, but if you haven't been on all 5 parts and you don't officially know who I am exactly, I'm basically a human performance coach, which means I help people become the best version of themselves. I'm a movement specialist. I'm a sports nutritionist. I'm a strength conditioning coach. I'm a mindset coach. And basically I take all of those factors and I integrate them together in a process that we use to assess our clients and our athletes, and then develop, specific strategic protocols to help them become the best version of themselves using all of those kind of holistically integrated systems and processes. So weight loss and detox, so much for us to talk about. I mean, Alex, we're going to cue into the Q&A in a second, but before we get started with the Q&A, just like as a very brief overview of the situation, is weight loss is a key indicator, or weight specifically is a key indicator of your sense of wellness and well-being. I'm a big believer in that. I think a person's weight is a determining factor of other areas of their life. Now, just to be clear, weight is very different for different body types. We have all kinds of different body types. So, what one person looks like in terms of healthy might be totally different what another person looks like in terms of health. So it's very important that people understand that, because, we have these false images and false belief that like this really skinny fit person is the epitome of health. but that's not necessarily the case. There are certain body types, and as body types differ, so will how you will look in a healthy state. So I'm really big on body awareness and body image, and it's important for you to understand that so you know what type of body you have, and then you can set kind of your goals and your visions to be consistent with what's realistic to you and also what's healthy to you. So I really want to kick it off with clarifying that and help people to understand that. And then in terms of detox, I mean, detox is something that I think all of us can benefit from at any given point. And when we talk about detox, we're going to talk a little bit more about probably the nutritional detox today, so to speak. But in today's day and age, I'm a big believer in detoxing all kinds of things in your life. So detoxing the relationships that you have. If you have toxic relationships in your life, I'm a big believer in detoxing that, which is kind of limiting them or removing them from your life. I'm also a big believer in detoxing information that comes into your life. So whether on social media following negative things or negative people, or you're reading news sites that are just trying to scare you and stuff like that, this is also a sense of detox. So all of these different types of inputs, whether it's food as an input, what you read as input, what you hear as an input, these are all different types of inputs, and I think all of them are worthy of having a conversation around on where you detox those different aspects of your life. So it's not just a nutritional type conversation. So really wanted to put that together. And then the last piece is when people talk about detox, a lot of people go on in their mind a detox to lose weight. And it's very important that we understand that they're two separate things, because a lot of people think, well, I'm going to go on a detox to lose weight. Well, it doesn't work like that. And there's a lot of false claims and terrible, like misleading marketing out there that kind of makes you believe if you go on this detox, you're going to lose, 10 pounds in 10 days, blah, blah, blah. All of that, in my opinion, is a bunch of lies and dangerous things for you to think. So we'll get into a bit more of it, I'm sure, with the Q&A, but the detox is essentially there to help cleanse your body, to clear out toxins and give your body kind of a healthy start. And then the other habits and behaviors that you have will lead to the actual weight loss. So they work together. They're not separate necessarily, but you don't expect to lose weight from a detox. If you're promised that, then I would kind of go in a different direction. So that's kind of just like my overall intro for tonight's conversation. And then let's kick it off with some questions, Alex.
Yeah, perfect. So we already have a question here from Laura. She asks, with so many diet programs available, like low carb, high protein, keto, is there a best diet to follow to lose weight?
So this is going to be very specific. What I want to really emphasize with people is everyone's individual needs are going to be different. So I am going to answer your question, but I also want you to understand that what I recommend, for example, to you might be different than I recommend to the next person. So as I talked earlier, we have kind of different body types. So it's important that you start to understand, do you carry a lot of muscle mass? Are you really like long and lean? Or do you carry body fat really easily? So these are kind of different things we want to look at. So my simple answer to all of this is the best diet is no diet. What you want to focus on is nutrition. Nutrition is the most important thing for you to focus on first and foremost. And then second to nutrition is basically calories. You can create the same result whether you want to go super low fat or super low carbs, because that's just going to affect your calories. If your calories are in line with how much you're burning, so you're in a deficit, meaning you're eating a little less calories than you're burning off in a day, ultimately, in a healthy individual with healthy hormones, you're going to start to create this sense of weight loss. So what I'm basically saying is I don't recommend or prescribe to any extreme diets, meaning like super low carbohydrate or zero carbohydrate or super low fat. I don't recommend any of those. I like a nice balance of protein, fats, and carbs, mainly because it's sustainable. It's something you want to be able to follow. We can give you the most extreme crash diet, but it's going to last you a couple of weeks if you can make it that long. And then when you go off of it, you're just going to gain the weight back. So think of like simple approach: protein, fats, carbohydrates at every meal, nothing in excess, and then really starting to get an idea of what your total calorie intake is for the day. And most people have no idea because they don't track it. Take a day, there's all kinds of apps out there, and start tracking every single thing you eat and drink and really get an idea of how many calories you're taking in. And then you kind of start tweaking it from there. Hope that answers the question.
Yep, no, that's perfect. I have another question here from Jess. Should I prioritize lifting weights or cardio to lose weight?
Okay. Personally, I'm not a huge believer in doing a lot of cardio to lose weight. I think there are some cases where that's valid, but you start to create this what we call a race to the bottom, meaning you do, let's say, 30 minutes of cardio every day, and you start to get a result, and then all of a sudden you're not getting a result anymore. So you increase your cardio to 40 minutes a day, and then you're getting a result, and then you're not getting a result. And it's this snowball effect of you're kind of just starting to taper down and you're working harder, but your weight loss is decreased. So you're not actually losing as much weight. On the flip side, if you start to prioritize strength training, especially for females, in my opinion, the more muscle mass that you can gain, the easier it is for your body to burn calories and ultimately burn fat. So if you're just doing cardio, if you're not fed properly, meaning you're not eating well, you're not eating the right nutrition, your body's primarily going to go and it's going to burn key things like muscle. It's going to burn your muscle in most cases. And when you're just burning muscle and you're not stimulating recovery, basically your metabolism is going to start to go down with it. And again, you're losing your ability to burn fat or burn calories naturally. So prioritizing your strength training to increase muscle, cardio, just kind of as a small thing on the side, short durations, slightly higher intensity, and that's going to start to spike your metabolism, because if your metabolism or your metabolic rate is not elevated or not higher in a good place, you're not going to lose that fat that you want to lose. So prioritizing strength training and then cardio as a small supporting element. And I have to just clear one thing. When I said female and I said muscle mass, people instinctually think, oh my God, I don't want to gain all this muscle. Don't worry, that's not going to be the case. When I say muscle mass, it's not this huge visual change. There's people that are doing everything in the world to try to gain muscle and they're having a hard time. So if you start doing strength training, you're not just going to put on crazy muscle, but it's this big misconception that I have to clear up.
Okay, thanks for the question, Jess. I do have a question here from Trevor. Does fasting help with weight loss?
So part of weight loss, and started talking about detox as well, is the way that you're going to be able to lose weight is if you have a healthy digestive system. Okay, that is where I prioritize. So anyone who comes and works with me and they say they want to lose weight or they want to get stronger or they want to compete in the sport, or it doesn't matter what their goal is, I always initially start with digestion, because with digestion, it's going to determine how well you're absorbing nutrients and how well those nutrients are basically helping your body to recover, to regenerate, and to be healthy. Fasting is a great way to help with your digestive system. Now, I'm not like a huge proponent of any extreme fasting, but I do like gaps, between meals. I don't like snacking, for example. I like gaps. So a good gap, when you go to sleep, if you're getting basically a 12-hour gap up to, a 14-hour gap from your last meal at night to the next meal in the morning, I think that gives your digestive system a good amount of time to recover. It's not bombarded with food to have to digest. It also needs time to recover. So it's kind of like the detox. I don't recommend fasting for weight loss, but I recommend fasting, to support your digestion, which ultimately will help you with weight loss. And let me just really clarify that, because a lot of people are what we call overfed and undernourished. So you're eating all kinds of food that you see, but those foods are most people, they're not nutrient dense. So they're processed foods, they're fast foods, they're quick foods. So there's not a lot of nutrition in them. Or for a lot of people, you're eating as well. You think you're eating while you think you're eating healthy, but that food is not getting digested properly and you're not getting those nutrients. So what your body's going to do is it's going to store fat. It's going to store everything that you get because it's basically starving from nutrients. So anything you give, it's going to hold on to it in hopes that, it needs that at some point down the road and you're not necessarily giving it what it needs. So I'm just going to try to hold on to everything it gets to try to create this survival mechanism.
Perfect, thank you. There's a question here from Michelle. Are there any supplements you recommend to support weight loss?
So the first supplement I recommend to support weight loss, quote unquote, is food, which is not necessarily a supplement. But for some people, it's a supplement because they're not eating enough good food. So I would start with food as the number one thing to focus on. And then the second thing I would focus on, which is same in equal weight as the first thing, is water. You want to make sure that you are drinking as much water as possible. You're drinking a really good quality source of water. This is going to basically get things flowing, get things moving, and go in that direction. So from a supplement standpoint, I know I didn't answer the question the way you wanted because I always say, does your food look great? Does your water look great? Is everything you're doing there great? Because if those things are not great, like super great, the supplement doesn't matter. It's not the answer to the situation. Okay, so that is where I would prioritize is my food, and I would also prioritize in my water. And then since we're kind of on the detox topic though, in terms of supplementation for detox, definitely like we're talking Pascoe today. So with my athletes and my clients, we use the Pascoe Detox Kit, which I got one right here, which is great. This is basically 3 products that they have in there in the detox kit. One of them is Lymph Dyro, which is another product that everyone who's been on the show, anyone who knows me knows that all of my clients and athletes carry one of those around. And essentially what the detox kit helps to do, it kickstarts your basically your system. It helps clear inflammation. It helps clear like sinuses, digestion, all of these things to basically rid your body of a lot of these things that are blocking the flow or creating basically a toxic environment. And then so once we create that healthy environment, again, it all goes back to digestion and circulation and nutrient uptake for me. Once that detox kind of goes through that process, your body is in a better place to absorb those nutrients and kind of go forward. So from a supplement standpoint, I would focus on detox and then food and then water.
Awesome. I have a question from Leslie. Leslie just got the detox kit.
Yeah.
Asks, when is the best time of day to take it?
So there's different ways you can take it. You can take, for example, 10 drops of each 3 times a day. But I like taking it like there's another way to recommend it. You take basically 30 drops of each and you put it in a water bottle. If you want to see my massive water bottle, this is what I carry around pretty much all day. You basically fill that with water and you fill like 30 drops of each and you basically sip that throughout the day. I think that's an easier way to do it if you can do that because A, it reminds you to drink. B, you don't have to be like, oh, I forgot to take it in the morning or at lunch or in the evening or whatever that is. It's just kind of this steady intake. So I'm a fan of that 30 drops in a big thing of water and kind of drink that throughout the day.
Perfect. Question here from Mary. What is the best way to cleanse your colon?
Oh, there's many, many things. If you feel like backed up and bloated, then a simple home remedy is magnesium. You can get like a liquid magnesium at the grocery store or at the pharmacy. Some health food stores will carry that as well. So like usually it's magnesium citrate in a liquid. You drink that and stay home that day. Don't make any plans, and that will help cleanse you. Other than that, enemas are also very effective. It's not my area of expertise, but coffee enemas, for example, those are 2 simple home things that I would recommend to help kind of clear your system out.
I'll just follow that up. Pascoe has a stimulating laxative called Legapass,
Okay.
made with Cascara sagrada. Helps to
Yeah.
clean things and move things along. Um, there is a question here from Hannah. How
Yeah.
often do I need to detox?
So it depends on where you're currently at. So, if you're a healthy individual and you really take care and focus on the things that you're eating, you focus on like your lifestyle in terms of, like soaps that you use, clothing that you wear, makeups that you use, all of these types of body products. If that's the case, I like detoxing once a year. I think this time of year is a great time to detox. If you find that you're exposed to a lot more toxins and you're not up to speed with all of the best sources of things that go in and on your body, twice a year is also another good time to do the detox. If you do it too often, I think it takes away from your body's regeneration ability, and like you can feel like pretty fatigued, because you will feel fatigued sometimes when you detox. That's why you got to drink a lot of water, because a lot of toxins are coming out of your cells. You got to make sure that you flush those out.
I have another question here from Mary. Any tips for women going through menopause and losing weight? Question mark, after the age of 50? Question mark.
Yeah, so that situation is a hormonal situation. So something we didn't talk a lot about today is it's very important for you to understand that in order for you to lose body fat or to gain, healthy muscle or any of these things, your hormones need to be working at a decent capacity. So my first thing in your situation would be to go and get thorough testing done. The reason why I emphasize thorough, if you just go to like your GP or your family doctor, they're very adverse of giving you thorough testing. You want to go see someone more like a naturopath, homeopath, someone who's going to do a deep dive on your hormone testing. And once you get like a deep dive in your hormone testing, you can put together and see where things are. If everything looking like fairly normal, given where you're at, menopause, etc., you could still do very well losing weight if you follow a really healthy and properly designed nutrition program for you. But if your hormones are really out of the ordinary and not normal, then you want to prioritize getting those things in check first. And when I say first, you can also start eating well during that time, but it's important that you don't dismiss the hormone panel and the hormone profile, because that will be the key thing that helps your longevity, your health, your wellness. So I would prioritize it like that. It's super important that you get those things kind of in check and start working towards making sure that they're in a healthy range.
Perfect. I do have a question here from Lori. How long should a detox last?
So it depends on how you're detoxing, like how strong that detox is. So for example, the Pascoe detox kit, I really like it because it's not like super, super strong. So it's meant to kind of be spread a little bit. For that kit, it usually lasts anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks for most people. And that's kind of a good range. I like to say 4 weeks is a good range for you to go through that detox. But if you're using some other types of products, just be cautious of products that are like overly concentrated or a little excessively strong, because those things you don't want to use for too long.
Perfect. I have a question, excuse me, a question here from Quinn. Does digestion have anything to do with weight loss?
Well, we've kind of been talking about that, and it's a great question because I really emphasize that if you don't have good digestion, again, your body is starving of nutrients. So it's not necessarily able to take that food that you ate and extract and convert those nutrients and put them in your bloodstream and deliver them to the areas that they're needed. So if you're having that situation, you can eat as much as you want, but if you're not getting the nutrients, your body goes into something called starvation mode, which means it's going to hold on, like I said before, to everything that you eat, and it's going to store all kinds of things in your fat cells because it doesn't know when it's going to get the nutrition and the nutrients that it needs. So it's really important that, like I said earlier, like anyone who comes in my doors, like I always start with, well, nowadays it comes on my computer instead of my doors. Anyway, that's my COVID joke for the night. Anyone who comes in the door, we want to get their digestion up and running at full capacity. So one of the products I also like to use, which I have right here, which is great, is Amara Pascoe. And we often use that with the Marco fruit, which we've talked about in the nutrition seminar. If you go back to part 2, I believe was nutrition. And those things just basically help there. This is a digestive product, helps to boost like the digestive enzymes and juices in your body, like a bitter would. And then like the Marco fruit is like a prebiotic, helps to build up those healthy bacteria in your stomach. Those things are super essential, getting your digestive system functioning at a high level. And then on top of that, I'd be very cautious of, different types of things you're eating that could be aggravating your digestive lining. So, we can talk about gluten real quick. A lot of mixed opinions out there, but I'm a big believer that gluten can really affect in a negative way your digestive system. There is a small percentage of people that it does not affect, and that's great. Good for them, but I think most people it has a negative effect on your digestive system, creates a sense of inflammation, can cause leaky gut, which basically means it's sending all kinds of chaos into your body. So that's a long answer, but it's really, really important, that question, because if your digestion is not in check, your wellness will not be in check, your ability to lose weight will be much diminished. You will have a hard time losing weight. So get that digestion in order.
Great. There's a question here from Seema.
Yeah.
She says, thanks for your time. What are the main and major reasons of being bloated?
So I kind of was just talking about that. So my opinion, the number one reason why you're bloated is because you're eating something that you're having a sensitivity to. So if your body doesn't digest that well or doesn't react to it well, it causes bloating. Because what is bloating? Bloating is inflammation. And we have inflammation when we have, I'll use the word trauma, right? Trauma can happen if I break my arm and it gets all swollen. But trauma also happens when you give your body, I'll call it a toxic food or a food that it doesn't like. So it'll create inflammation. There's this whole sense of the body sending all kinds of things to that area to help to heal it or defend or treat. So bloating in most cases means you're not able to break that food down. So with a lot of my clients that have had bloating, we've had a lot of success. And I just talked about the Amara Pascoe, which is like a bitter, getting those kind of digestive bitters up and boosting up that HCl, that hydrochloric acid that's in your stomach. That is also super important. And you can do that with like apple cider vinegar, for example, is a great way to start that. Betaine is another way you can get that up. But really getting those digestive juices up and that healthy gut bacteria up. We talked about Marco fruit, for example. That will help to diminish the bloating. And then at the end of the day, if you keep track of foods that you eat, you'll start to realize that this food causes me to bloat. So then my suggestion is don't eat that food. It's pretty simple. Gluten is a huge thing. Wheat for most people will cause bloating. Liquid dairy for most people will cause bloating. Hard cheeses is usually not so bad. Sometimes raw vegetables can cause that. A lot of people they blend vegetables in their blender and they drink it. That can actually create this oxidization and send off this cascade, and you drink that and you could get bloated. So it's not just from things that you think are bad for you. Some raw vegetables can cause that. So just really be cautious and conscious of what you're eating. And I'm a big fan of take some notes. I was bloated. Okay, what did you eat in the last 24 hours? And then start to look for consistencies and then just eliminate that food altogether.
Perfect. Sorry. A question from Lisa. Is there a link between autoimmune and weight loss?
Maybe clarify the question a bit more in terms of if you have autoimmune, you're having a hard time losing weight, or are they correlated? Does weight gain cause autoimmune? Maybe I'm not clear on that.
Yeah, you know what? We'll let Lisa maybe message in the chat box and move on to the next question, which is from Kimya. The question was, she asked, why did I stop losing weight, and is there a best way to break through it?
So one of the most important things for weight loss is consistency. And with consistency, you will create a result. A lot of people get this, idea in their head that, I want to lose 20 pounds, for example. And they think that it's going to take, I'm making up a number, they can lose that in a month or 6 weeks. There's all these promising 6 weeks weight loss programs, right? By the way, stay away from those types of things. If you're not in it for the long haul, you're not going to get to where you want. A lot of times when you first start a program, you're going to see a real quick drop. If you're on the right program, a really good program, you'll see a quick drop in your scale weight initially because your body is dropping a lot of water retention it's been holding. So the detox also helps to clear that out a bit. But again, we're not using the detox for weight loss. It starts to clear out like bloating or water retention. And when that starts to go out, you start to create better circulation. And that's kind of what we want initially. But then from there, you're going to start to have to break down fat, which can take time. Like that, your body's been holding on to that for a long time. I always ask people, okay, how long did it take you to gain the weight that you want to lose? And for most people, it's like 10 years, 15 years, sometimes 20 years or more. And it's like, you think you're going to lose that in 6 weeks? It's a really unfair idea, but it's been planted in your head by all of these marketing companies out there. They're just trying to take advantage of you. This idea of you got to be in it for the long haul. And what I would say is go back now if you've lost that weight and take a real good look at your program, because a lot of people just, like, for example, they buy one program and that's it. Well, as your body changes, that program will change. So, I'm just making up numbers, rounded numbers. If I have you on a 2,000 calorie a day diet, or nutrition plan is a better term I like to use there, and then it brings you down, let's just say 5 pounds, and then you stabilize that, then I might bring that down to 1,900 calories. And we're going to slowly bring that down until we kind of get to our set point. And we get to our set point, then we're going to decide, do we slowly bring the calories up a little bit? Are we good at that calorie range? And how does that look? So think of it as a long-term plan, and don't, I know this is really hard to say, but for you to think, don't think about the number, meaning the outcome. Think about the process. Really focus on everything that you're eating, how you're taking care of your body, how you're loving your body, how much attention you're giving to your body of positivity. I mean, you're not going on the scale every day and, oh my God, it hasn't moved, and oh my God, this and that. You're just adding stress and cortisol, which is going to prevent that. So focus on that process of doing everything that you know or have been taught or have been guided or instructed is good for you, and just don't quit. That's my biggest suggestion for that.
Perfect. Question back from Lisa.
Okay.
She clarified with regards to the autoimmune and weight loss. So autoimmune due to colitis or PCOS, can those sorts of conditions affect weight loss?
Yeah, like, okay, so again, affected in terms of like, I'm assuming they're saying, Lisa's saying, does it inhibit weight loss, or does it prevent weight loss, or make it difficult for you to lose weight? So the answer to that is those are obviously all inflammatory conditions. So it's important that you recognize that any autoimmune condition, or I think you said, Alex, you said colitis, right? Is that what you said?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, okay, so those are all inflammatory conditions. So when the body is inflamed, cortisol is going to be high. So cortisol is a stress hormone. So for example, use another example, if you work out really hard, you exercise really hard, your body's going to cause inflammation from that, and cortisol is going to be elevated. If you have an autoimmune condition or any type of itis, arthritis, tendonitis, colitis, we can go through the whole list of itises, you're going to have excessive inflammation in your body. So you really want to focus on getting control of that inflammation. Again, we use lymph diural, which is really helpful for inflammation. If you have like PCOS, that's common, and I don't claim to be a super expert in that field, but it is a hormonal issue, generally speaking. There is an imbalance with, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. So looking at the hormones and then looking at inflammation and working to get those things in check ultimately will help to get your weight in check. So if you're only, for example, if you're only focusing on your weight, meaning like I'm just taking a strict diet or I'm over exercising, but I'm not focusing on the inflammation, the autoimmune condition, the colitis, etc., the PCOS, you will have a hard time creating the weight loss. You really want to focus on the health of those specific areas, and that's going to ultimately lead to the weight loss. It's like I said in the beginning of this whole show was your weight is an expression of your health in most cases. So if your weight is excessive or outside of your range for your body type, then chances are something's going on with your health. And even if you just eat terribly, that's a sign of something that's going on with your health. So I hope that kind of answers the question and helps you steer in a direction of eating well while you're focusing on those other conditions.
Perfect. Question here from Mark. Hi, Coach. Are you a fan of calorie tracking apps like MyFitnessPal?
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan. I'm definitely a fan, especially right out the gate. So really getting an idea of how many calories are you currently eating? Where is most of those calories coming from? Meaning, are they coming from protein? Is it coming from fat? Is it coming from carbohydrates? Is it coming from drinks? By the way, one of my number one rules is don't drink your calories. So like juices and all these things are very dangerous for weight gain. So yeah, I love getting people to go in there and track them. When I do programs with people, it always has specific calorie targets and it has specific breakdowns of protein, fat, carbohydrates, and et cetera, et cetera. So if you don't have a good idea of how much you're eating, how many calories you're eating, you're going to have a hard time of where to shift that and how to tilt that to kind of start to get the momentum rolling in direction. So I am a fan of it. Once you get rolling though, and you find you're getting results, it's like the scale. I like to get away from it and start to live like a stress-free lifestyle. Of now you have a general idea of here's how much food should be on my plate, here's how many plates I should be eating in a day, and here's kind of my total calories. Once you kind of get a good idea and get control of that and grasp of that, then I don't like to obsess over that going forward. So it's a good starting point though.
Perfect. So we are almost, we're 12 minutes past our end time. And if we didn't have time to answer your question this evening, or if you have any further questions about the information presented in today's webinar, you can always contact seminars@pascoe.ca. But I do want to thank everyone again who has joined us and participated in this question and answer session. And a special thank you to Coach Gaétan for joining us this evening. We will also be sharing this recording on our website at pascoe.ca under the webinars tab, and it will be posted one day from now. In recognition of the time you have invested attending our webinar, we will be emailing participants a 20% discount for Pascoe's 2-week detox kit and 5-week detox kit, as well as Amara Pascoe and Marco Fruct, which is valid now until January 19th, 2021. So thank you again for everyone joining us this evening, and Coach Gaétan, amazing question and answer session. We look forward to providing you all with more educational webinars in the near future.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Thank you. Have a good evening.